let's talk about the ratings here. The angle that we just talked about with Austin being in the back of the ambulance led to the WWF tightening the gap in the ratings a little bit. Nitro did a 3.39 and Raw did a 2.75. That's a pretty big deal. You're sort of closing the gap a little bit. Meltzer would say the hot show is important because we're going into May sweeps where the cable network ad rates are determined by primetime ratings become doubly important. Because of the NBA playoffs, Nitro is being moved starting April 28th to a 1-hour format starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, which means Raw will be going unopposed through May 19th and thus has a chance to do consistent 3+0 ratings, and Raw should win the next 4 weeks. Last year during the playoffs, Raw ratings beat the Nitro show by sizable margins every week, causing people to believe some sort of momentum was going to be built. But it was all illusionary, as once the playoffs were over, Nitro has beaten Raw in the ratings every week since but one. So let's talk about that for a minute here. The preemption of Nitro. Is that something you guys would game plan for and you had a strategy for, or not so much?
Well, it's an opportunity where you hope that you're going to be getting additional eyeballs on your show. Anytime you have a strong lead in or you have an opportunity to have more eyeballs on your show, you're going to put your absolute best foot forward. So having Nitro not on the air, not having some place for the audience to go, I would dare say that the playoffs were more of more competition than Nitro even.
Of course.
You just have more eyeballs going to the playoffs as well.
But at that same time, if you're a dyed-in-the-wool wrestling fan, so to speak, we hope that you're going to switch it off basketball if you're a normal Nitro watcher.
Absolutely.
And check out Raw, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about the May sweeps. We haven't spent much time talking about that. Was that ever something that you guys discussed creatively? I mean, is it even on your radar? I know it's important to the network.
Oh God, yes.
Okay.
I mean, we program for May and November sweeps
even now?
every year.
Okay.
Not now, no. God, I haven't done that in years. But the May and November sweeps were always very important because that is where the ad folks, that's what they base their sales on. And if you had, ratings to boast, then you could command a higher advertising rate.
And obviously we know that's the name of the game. That Raw in Binghamton drew a sellout, 3,846 fans. So clearly it's a small venue, but it's a sold out venue for $67,846. And that's a hell of a gate for that amount of folks. Austin Hart. Well, we know what did happen and what didn't happen. What else did happen is the ratings for Raw when they're running unopposed with Nitro being preempted. Well, it's a success. They get a 3.44 rating. The first hour is a 3.3. The second hour is a 3.58. That's a 5.2 share. The next week, it's the same, 3.44. Got to be considered a success. We didn't talk about this. We did talk about Anvil. When and how was it determined that Brian Pillman should be a part of the Hart Foundation? Is it because, his ankle's not all the way 100%? We're just trying to find something for him to do, some meat on the bone. He already had a feud going with Austin, so it just made sense, or what's the thinking there?
Well, Pillman started his career in Calgary, and
Right.
There's a connection with Calgary and with Brian Pillman. And to be able to keep Pillman active and put him with a group, again, to protect him with his injuries and what have you, it made sense. They all hung out, they all got along and knew each other. So I think Brian was an honorary Hart member anyway. And you got chemistry, you got a story. Let's put them all together.